In a world of memes, GIFs, and tweets, how people ingest and consume information has placed a lot of emphasis on how good text layout can make a piece of content really pop. So whether you're designing a landing page, a business card, or a flyer, or anything in between, today we're covering our top tips on how to design better text. It's not solely the copywriter's responsibility anymore to make a message truly captivating. Designers play a huge role in taking copy and laying it out in a way that makes it engaging and familiar for your audience. If your copy is clunky, poorly spaced, uses a ton of colors, or just isn't laid out in an appealing way, it means somebody's going to click off of your site or put down your flyer and go look for something else. Now today we're not going to dive into the specific designer jargon that surrounds text copy. If you want a video on that content, let us know in the comments below or check out our Designer Speak for Clients blog series over on designpickle.com. Today we're going to be going over the layman's terms for how to communicate with a designer and how to get better text design for all of your copywriting projects. Alright, so good text design starts with a good visual hierarchy. What we mean by that is planning out ahead of time the font, size, and color scale that you'll be using for your project. Moving down any page of copy from top to bottom, the fonts, colors, and sizes that you use will tell any reader how important different pieces of information are. Having a clear hierarchy will subconsciously give visual cues to your audience so that they know what information they need to be paying attention to. It'll make things like skimming your copy easier, and just when you look at something and you know, like, we're going here, we're going here, we're going here, that a clear journey is outlined for them in the copy, then they're going to be more likely to read what you wrote. Having a strong hierarchy can make even the most text-heavy design project a lot easier for your reader to digest. Go look at any successful magazine and it will be really apparent how they're using visual hierarchy in order to guide their reader through different articles. With online content, having a strong hierarchy goes even deeper. In order to make sure your content is well SEO'd and able to rank with Google search, you have to have, at minimum, a clear heading hierarchy. In general, you'll want to use H1 for headlines, H2 for topics, H3 for subtopics, and H4 for small details. Doing this will make it easier for Google to scan your copy and then properly rank you in search results. Alright, so next you need to think about font pairings. There's really three main types of fonts you're probably going to be looking at: sans serif, serif, and decorative. Now, decorative fonts are usually really elaborate and artsy. You'd probably only use them for titles or maybe in images and things that you're inserting into your text layouts. Sans serif fonts are going to be like Arial. They're very blocky. They don't have any little decorative flourishes on them. And serif fonts are going to be like Times New Roman. They've got those little flourishes on the end. If you're not sure about what I'm talking about, just Google it really quick and you'll see it right away. There's a lot of different ways that you can pair fonts up. You really never want to be using more than 3 in any given layout. Otherwise things can feel really cluttered, or you might end up with 2 fonts that clash. Really, 2 fonts is all you might want to be using, and you could even be using different weights of the same font. Some of the most popular ways to pair up fonts are going to be to use a serif and a sans serif font from the same family, or maybe even using 2 serif fonts that complement each other well, or 2 sans serif fonts that complement each other well. Really what you're looking to do is to differentiate your headers from your body content. And there's a number of different ways to do that just by playing around with the font weights and different font pairings. One more thing to consider when you're looking at your font pairings is making sure that you take into account the mood and the medium of your piece. What I mean by that is you don't want any fonts that of course clash with each other, but you also don't want any fonts that clash with the overall tone and mood of your piece. When it comes to medium, traditionally speaking, serif fonts are used for a lot of long-form print media. Just look at magazines or books. This is partly to do with historical context and partly because it's considered slightly more readable. When it comes to online or digital media or something else more modern, usually you'll see a sans serif font. So just take those additional things into consideration when you're looking at what fonts you're going to use for your piece. Once you've got your hierarchy in place and you've picked out your font pairings, now it's time to turn your attention to the actual physical copy itself and what you're writing. Now, we're not going to cover what you're writing about, but how you lay it out on the page is key. Large blocks of text are off-putting to readers. You, generally speaking, don't want to have a paragraph longer than 3 sentences, and you won't want to avoid any overly long sentences in general. Now, you can also break up your copy with bullet points or numbered lists. They're perfect for facts, steps, or other quick bursts of easily digestible information. Now, when you're using bullet points or numbered lists, if your point is going to be longer than 1 line, and it's going to double down below that, you want to probably make that a sentence. Bullet points should be short, easily readable pieces of information that anybody can just look at the list and understand what it is. Now remember that most readers online are looking to do a surgical strike. They want to get in, get the valuable information, and get back out. So if your text isn't approachable just from a bulk standpoint, if you have like a massive paragraph and then another massive paragraph, they're probably going to skip over your article and they're going to go read something else that was easier for them to digest. Our last tip is to make your content fun. Inject some of your personality. Use GIFs, use photos, use big colorful block quotes, use infographics or models or even interactive quizzes. There's a lot of different ways that you can inject your own personality into your content and make it more than just a read, make it an engaging experience for your audience. Using the creative elements I just mentioned too is a great way to break up your text layout just like you would with bullet points. Now look at your text layout as a really key touch point for your customers. You know, like in retail spaces, the longer someone spends in a store, the more likely they are to make a purchase. It's the same thing online with content. The longer that somebody has eyes on your content and spends time on your site, the more likely they are to like, share, subscribe if you've got a newsletter, or of course to make a purchase. So even if you're working on a really dry informational piece, remember that you've got to make it fun and personable, and all of these tips are great ways to break it up and make it more digestible for your audience. Now, if everything that I just covered seems a bit overwhelming, don't worry. Design Pickle here has been doing text layout forever, whether it's flyers, landing pages, blog posts, headers, or social media images, we've done it all. Design Pickle is an easy and accessible way to get great graphic design and text layouts for any business. You just tell us what you want, insert the details, your copy, what file types you need, and then bam, one of our dedicated designers gets to work for you and returns some amazing designs, usually in as soon as 24 hours. That's all we've got, guys, for this one. Thank you for watching. If you have any tips on how to design better text layouts, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to see them. We're always trying to learn and be better ourselves. And of course, like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.